Hi everyone, I'm back with another video. So it's been a long time since I uploaded a video that's not a shorts. I know I have been busy, could be a lame excuse, but that's all I can say, I guess. Anyway, let's just get on with it. For those of you who don't know me, for those of you who are new here, I'm Gayatri. I'm an aspiring writer and I also love to read books. So here I'm uploading videos on writing and on my reading updates and also book recommendations and stuff. And I also have a blog where I share my thoughts. The link is in the description for those of you who want to check out my blog and Instagram. Also, it would be great if you could subscribe to my channel. Now that that's out of the way, let's start with today's video. I wanted to make a reading update video slash book recommendation video. So I wanted to suggest you a book that you might have already heard about. But for those of you who don't know about this book, this is a murder mystery investigative trilogy written by Holly Jackson. In this trilogy, we have A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, followed by Good Girl, Bad Blood, which is followed by As Good as Dead. There is also a prequel novella called Killjoy, which I am yet to read. In this series, our protagonist is Pippa Fitz Amobi. She's a 17-year-old girl who starts an investigation of two deaths that happened 5 years ago. Sal Singh murdered Andy Bell and killed himself. At least that's what the public records say. The case seems to be open and shut. Sal Singh, Andy's boyfriend, doesn't have a proper alibi at the time of her disappearance and is also later found to be dead in the woods. Andy is later presumed to be dead. But Pippa doesn't believe this to be the truth. She believes Sal is innocent and she decides to work on the case of Andy Bell as her final year project. She starts her investigation with Ravi Singh, the alleged murderer's brother. This book has chapters in between where we can see Pippa's notes, transcripts, photos, and other evidence. It was something very cool, and it's something I loved about these books. To be honest, I'm a sucker for these kind of books where you get to investigate and pick up clues and try to guess who did what and what really happened, right? So I love these kind of books. And to read such a book with a lovable main character and interesting plotline is something I really appreciate. These three books were so fast paced and I devoured them one after the other, chapter after chapter. I read so quickly that I had to start with another book immediately after finishing the first one. At the end of the first book, Pippa discovers what really happened on the night of Andy Bell's disappearance and she also finds out who killed her. She finds out what actually happened to Sal Singh as well. Ravi Singh, Pippa's love interest throughout the book series, is also someone who plays an important role in this investigation. And at the end of the book, Pippa starts a broadcast called A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. Following the events of the first book, in the second book, Good Girl Bad Blood, we see a funeral for both Andy and Sal. Pippa sees an anxious and nervous Damie Reynolds, who is the older brother of Connor Reynolds, who is one of Pippa's friends. And she also sees that he is restless, and that night he disappears. This is the premise of the second book. We see that Pippa investigates about what happened to Jamie and why he went missing. Also, we see Pippa doesn't want to do a second season of her podcast, but she has no other choice because she wants to do all the help necessary to make sure Jamie is safe and back at home. She wants to use the popularity of her podcast to spread the word about Jamie's disappearance and make sure that helps to find Jamie. The investigation into Jamie's disappearance leads to uncovering a lot of secret, which helps discover a catfish scheme that has been going on, which links to a decade-old serial killer case. There's also a quest for vengeance by one of the serial killer's survivors. So I did like this book, but the first book will always be my favorite. Also, this book sets up a lot of things and it causes the required damage and push towards the right direction that is needed for the final book, which is As Good as Dead. Pip is pulled into the investigation in this book only because she wants to help her friend find his brother. But she gets played and she's put in the middle of a traumatizing turn of events. Where do I start when it comes to the third book? How about the panic that set on when I read the stalking scenes? Also, how about the anxiety and nervousness that crept inside me when I was reading the scenes about something unfortunate that happened to our protagonist? That's all I can say without it being a spoiler. The nervousness and creepiness was too much that I had to go and hold on to my friend's hand while I was reading those scenes. And it was all like a little too much for me, but I loved the way it made me feel. Like it felt so real. But I do have a mixed feelings when it comes to this book. I do love it to an extent, but there's certain things I don't agree with. There are certain things I feel could have been different. I loved how much my heart raced most of the time, especially after 70 pages in the book. And I loved the twist of something unfortunate happening in the middle of the book instead of the climax of the book as usual. And also, there is murder and disappearance and kidnap and other dark elements present in this book, just like the previous book. But the difference is here it is much more personal. That is what made me love the book. We also see how everything intervenes with the events that happen in previous books. Also, we see that there's a cycle that began and that has an end, and there are elements and characters and storylines which beautifully blend in to form this conclusion. I loved all those parts. But there's one thing I don't like about this book, which is Pippa's decision at the end of the book. Those of you who have already read the book know what I'm referring to. I actually don't agree with her decision, and most of the reviewers on Goodreads also mentioned a similar stance, but they did mention it for a different reason from what I have in my mind. Anyway, the book is still a good read and it's a very good completion to the trilogy. Overall, these three books is something that you shouldn't miss. It's like a very quick, fast paced read with good plot and storylines, good character arcs, and you get so much packed in these three books. Now that that's said, so what else are you waiting for? Do click the link in the description to buy the trilogy, and also let me know if you have already read the book and share your thoughts in the comment section.